What's going on, guys, and welcome to November's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month, and at the end of the month, we talk about it. This month, we played Remnant from the Ashes, and yeah, my name's Seth, and joining me today is Chevy. Chevy, how you doing? And are you excited about the release coming out at the end of the week? And Walker?
Oh, yeah. I was like, what's coming out? Yeah.
I figured you'd be a little more anticipating of that.
I mean, I'm just going to Friday come home and play it. So,
Yeah.
I'm doing all right. I have a bad knot in my shoulder for some reason. It's making me not be able to move my head too far to this direction. But other than that, I'm good.
Every episode, there's always an impairment, dude. It's just like fucking, I'm all fucked up.
Getting older.
Yep, I feel it. I don't have anything exciting for me coming out at the end of the week, which kind of sucks. I guess I'll just play something else. But
Could play 14.
Could play 14. I don't know if I'm in the mindset. I got a couple games I'm trying to knock out. One particularly being, Tales of Arise. I'm getting close to beating, and Ratchet and Clank. So I got to play those. So I'm actually kind of okay with stuff not coming out. Although I think, doesn't the Halo campaign come out in December at some point? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're not here to talk about that. But yeah, glad you're doing good. I'm doing good. Everyone's doing good. And yeah, we're here to talk about Remnant from the Ashes. But a quick reminder, real quick, that we just did Plus Club. We just talked about Knockout City and First Class Trouble and Kingdoms Amalur Re-Reckoning. So if you missed that episode, make sure to go check it out. Or if you want to watch it again, go watch it again. Join the conversation and let us know what you thought of those games in the comments on that video. I almost said below, not on this video. But yeah, it's a time where we got to pick a new game of the month for this upcoming month, which is December. So let's get into that. That's not it. Yeah, so we have a list of a bunch of games, a bunch of back burner games, and we're going to be hitting this button to generate a number, which coincides with one of those games. And we have 21 of them, as you guys can see. So yeah, anything you want to say on this before we find out what our game of the month in December is?
There are two games on the list that I really hope don't get picked because they're MMOs. And I'm already going to be playing an MMO pretty heavily in December. So
Wouldn't that be convenient?
that game's not on the list.
Which one?
I believe it's New World's on the list and
Oh, yeah, that'd be rough.
ESO's on the list.
Is 14 on the list? Oh, we need to put that back on because it's got new stuff. Yeah, that would be a little rough to have to play two MMOs in 1 month. I completely agree. I hope that doesn't happen as well. So yeah, let's find out though. This website always takes a second to generate the number because it's true randomness. So there's not gonna be any ceremony. I'm just gonna hit this fucking button and we're gonna find out. You got the list ready?
I got the list.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go in 3, 2, 1, and 15.
Convenient. We just put this on here. Guilty Gear Strive.
Oh, nice. A nice and easy game that you can play with very little investment. I also have not played this, so it's going to give me a good excuse to play it. And yeah, I didn't... Since Guilty Gear has turned into like a 3D, 2D perspective game, I haven't gotten into them as much as I used to be into the older ones, so it'll be a nice chance to play that. Also, I'm excited because recently we did our community pick game of the month, and somebody had brought up, I think it was Josh, that we don't really ever have fighting games on the list, and so we kind of made it a point to add some fighting games to the list, and we just got one, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I bought Guilty Gear, so I already own it.
Yeah, I might just play your copy.
You can do that.
Maybe I can buy my own, but I mean, it's all just fucking two-player shit and single-player shit anyway, so... Yeah. So yeah, we'll be playing Guilty Gear Strive in December alongside whatever the games that were possibly leaked. I already forgot what they are. One's like Lego, DC, Villains. The other one is Mortal Shell. And another one, oh no, I forgot what the fuck it was.
I thought it was a game you played before.
Huh?
I thought it was a game you've already played for some
Yeah,
reason.
that's what I thought too. I don't know why I can't remember what the hell it is, but
They're not officially announced anyways.
yeah, take it with a grain of salt. The 2 out of 3 games that I just said. So yeah, we're here to talk about Remnant from the Ashes, though. And maybe you're thinking, hey, didn't you guys already talk about that before? We actually had a Plus Club where it was one of the 3 games we talked about that was on PlayStation. This time around, we played it on PC. So if you are curious about that, maybe you watch regularly, you're like, wait, why are you talking about it? It got pulled. We actually had it on the list before we got it on PlayStation Plus, so it's been sitting there. And yeah, so we're returning to it, playing it on PC. If you didn't get a chance to play Remnant from the Ashes, it is a third-person action shooter / melee game, up to 3-player co-op, in which you explore post-apocalyptic areas, different worlds, trying to fight back something called the Root. And yeah, it's inspired by Souls-esque games and a lot of other games, a lot of genres going on here. You run around with yourself or your friends and shoot enemies that are designed to kill you swiftly. You run into bosses they have to fight, very Dark Souls-esque. And there is random items randomly placed. No. That's a bad way to put it. There are items that are always in a predetermined spot, but you might not run into that predetermined spot on each run, so you can reset your world to possibly get those runs.
Yeah, the maps have variable chances to have bosses.
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, it's like tiles. Tiles and bosses that are all at random. We both played it, and we've played it in the past. We played it again. And what are your impressions of Remnant from the Ashes in November?
All right. Well, I was going to say, I don't remember what I said 8 months ago. I just know it was 8 months ago because I went to check and kind of see what I had graded it before, and I, for some reason, couldn't scrub to that point, so I can't even reference that.
Oh, you didn't find it?
No, I couldn't find my grade for some reason.
I mean, I can tell you. Do you think it's gonna affect your grade now?
No. I was just curious because I remember, and we talked about it a little bit even off camera, but I don't remember having any negative opinions about it. So
yeah.
So that being said, having played it this time on PC, I'd start over again, but played the whole thing co-op with you. I won't go into too much detail in that regard, but you had a pre-existing character, so there was.
They were pre-existing for a long time.
So there was a little bit of an advantage for me to get in there. Fortunately, I'm not like a difficulty junkie, so that part doesn't matter to me at all. And kind of just went through and redid the first whole zone as we had done before. So there was nothing new for me there other than obviously the variable of bosses. Missed out on the automatic rifle this time. Did get it on PlayStation. And then we got to the second zone, which is all new from that point on. And from that point on, I was having fun with it, though. I struggle with deserts in games anyway, so that whole second zone is very deserty and old buildings and stuff like that. And there were some cool puzzles in there, which I really appreciate the effort they put into that part for sure. I really like that a lot. The difference in the zone was a big difference, and I appreciate that as well because then it shows that they put work into different assets and appearances and stuff like that. And then after that, there's a few more zones, and they vary. I'm not going to go into order, but basically there's a swamp.
Well, to help people kind of get clued in, when we played on PlayStation, we only played through the first area, which is the Earth map.
Yeah.
This time around, we actually finished the whole game. Yep. We played every zone. We did start playing the Subject 2.9 whatever the hell DLC, so we're doing that currently. And yeah, so we did Earth, we did the desert area, and then we did
swamp,
Corsus. We also did the forest place, Yaeth, or whatever the hell it's called. I don't remember. So yeah, just letting people know, like, we completely beat the game this time around, which is great for me because this is a game that I've had to, as I've been progressing through it, I didn't have to, but like I'd get like a new person on and I'd hop in their save and help them through, and then someone else will hop on and I'd hop on their save and help them through, and I never got to finish the game, so finally got got around to doing it, which was also cool because I remember because we only finished the first area in on PlayStation. I was hoping we could at least get like the second area completed as well this time around, and we ended up beating the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. So with that obviously out there, my big thing is like every zone is very different looking. Not even just in like whatever biome it is, but even like the color palettes they choose, the amount of detail and stuff they put in, all that stuff. They went really deep into making really varied and different looking zones. So I have to give them a lot of credit for that because it made coming to a new zone that much more exciting. So besides it being a change of scenery, it also was detailed scenery. So it was worth checking every little nook and cranny. In fact, doing that lets you find certain things like random puzzles and stuff like that, that even like on one person's playthrough, regardless, maybe the tile was there, maybe it wasn't, but then maybe they didn't check that corner. Replayability at that point. So, and the puzzles usually will result in an item or a boss, which then also turns into an item. Game has a varied amount of weapons, which I really appreciate. And it also has like a handful of like staple weapons you'd expect, and then a handful of let's be creative weapons. And I appreciate that as well. With modifiers, it changes the appearance of your weapon. They put a lot of thought into just visuals and variety in that regard. If I had one complaint about it, I just kind of wish there was a little bit more in certain regards. There are quite a bit of weapons, but I feel like there aren't that many mods in comparison. Maybe I don't have enough of the game unlocked. I've only done one playthrough, so there's stuff I still need to find. So, what else? I enjoy the boss mechanics, though some of them are frustrating. Not in a I hate this sort of way as much as like, obviously everyone's playstyle is different. So there's a couple boss rooms or whatever we did where we would get hoarded by people, and my loadout's not good for that. So I'd have to like change up my entire loadout just for those particular moments and then switch back to them. Which is great that the game does that, because I couldn't just like be one thing and power through it as well. But not something I'm really used to. Usually you can like have a build and just play the game that way. And I'm sure I could if I just grinded out some levels, but the opportunity was there to do better just by planning better. So that's another positive I would definitely give the game. Let's see. Keyboard and mouse, definitely the way to go for this game versus the controller.
It was funny because like that was the thing that came up a lot in the last time we talked about this, is that really one of the only complaints was that it would probably be better on keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
This time around, when we were playing, you had mentioned multiple times like, "Oh, this is way better," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm saying, dude, like,
it's crazy." It feels really good on mouse. They did a really good job on that.
Yeah, because some people might be thinking like, well, keyboard and mouse makes sense. It's gonna feel better. This game just has really tight aiming. They did a really good job on it, and I thought it felt good on console too, but it really shows off how tight the aiming is on mouse and keyboard. It's very satisfying to shoot things in this game, but also in a game that has like weak points and stuff like that. It is satisfying, kind of like in Borderlands, when you hit what you're aiming for with ease after enough practice with a gun or whatever.
I actually think it's probably a really good way to put it anyways, because even in my time in specifically Borderlands 2, I played on console and PC. I put most of my time in PC. But I had fun on console. My only problem was my selection of weapons drops a lot at that point, because precision weapons, unless you just are like super comfortable on a controller, they're kind of a pain in the butt on a controller. So I would stick to things like shotguns or automatic weapons and stuff like that, so I wouldn't have to try as hard to aim, versus when I play games like this, for example, on PC, and I can use what's that called, the rifle that they have in this game, where it's one shot semi-auto, and
The carbine, the rifle. I forgot what the fuck
I
it's
don't
called.
remember. It's called. It's like a repeater or something like that. But
Yeah.
and being able to fight off a bunch of people, because not only can I see further because the system I have just allows for better rendering, but the aiming's better, and so I can kill them before they get close to me, or at least whittle them down if they're big guys, for example. So yeah, I mean, overall, I just had a lot of fun with it. The one thing I'd like to see if they ever make another one, or if they add more support to this game, is I feel like there's not that many zones. I think that's probably the weakest part of the game for me, is that there's only like 5 places to go.
That's funny. I was thinking about this earlier. I was thinking, like, do I have any like criticisms of the game? And the only thing I can think of, the only thing is that I want more content from it.
Just feels
and
short.
not even weapon wise. There's like a lot of armors and a lot of weapons, but I want more places to go.
I would say I don't have a complaint about the loot.
Yeah,
I think the game has a pretty decent amount of loot, but it does feel short because you only go to 5 environments.
well, so. And you think about the developers smaller than like a big AAA company, but also they put a lot of work into like the amount of items there is. There's a lot. There's a lot of rings, a lot of like necklaces, and a lot of armor pieces, a lot of guns, and there's a lot of secrets. They put the game's packed full of like all these cool secrets that you may or may not run into, or you may or may not find out unless you might look it up or something. And I think with all that, maybe they weren't able to make as many areas as I would like. The ending does seem very abrupt too.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, we're probably going to the next zone, and all of a sudden we're fighting the last boss. I was like, oh
yeah.
Oh, is okay. And then like we beat it. I'm like, oh, it's over.
Yeah, it feels really short. So
yeah, it felt a little short too, in the sense that we were kind of running through it because we're playing on normal, and my character was definitely, because I had played through over and over and over again,
sure.
A little too powerful, and then you caught it pretty quickly. So, I feel like if there was a stronger challenge from the bosses, it would have taken longer. But we had a couple bosses that we had some problems with, but for the most part, a lot of them we melted pretty quick. But I do agree that is pretty much my only complaint with the whole game, is that it does it. I don't even want to say it feels short. It doesn't feel like there's, with how cool and different every zone is. I would have liked to see more,
for sure.
especially with like the first and second area being like pretty cool, but then like later zones looking a lot cooler.
Swamp and the forest are awesome.
I was hoping to see more of that.
Yeah.
Because you get like these like, a post-apocalyptic desert. I've seen it. They did a good job with it. Post-apocalyptic New York looking place. I've seen it. It's cool looking. But then like you get this really cool like fantasy looking forest that I really like. I think the interiors are really cool looking too. And then you get the swamp that's super dirty and gross looking, but also
a really cool color
but
palette.
it's also like vibrant looking visually, and it has all this like weird industrial shit everywhere, and it's really creative and interesting.
And the red water, it's almost brown, but it
Yeah.
is still red.
It's like a rush brown, yeah.
Yeah, so rust, I guess, would be a good way to word that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just really nice to look at. In fact, after we got out of the desert, I was just constantly like really. That's one thing I like in games, anyways. But the environments were just such a pleasant thing to look at that I wasn't thinking about the grind, which I don't think about a lot, anyways. But it definitely helps to be in a zone I like. Just even as a small like off tangent here, in Final Fantasy 14, the weapon grinding zone that they had in Shadowbringers is like a barren war zone, so it's just like brown and dead, and I hated being there because it's just awful to look at, completely awful to look at. It bores the shit out of me. So doing something where like there's all this detail and color and stuff like that, I'm fine with being there. It's not like burning me out looking at it. So that's a huge plus.
And I think it's nice about this game too is it is full of all these different secrets and different puzzles and stuff to figure out. If you want to, you don't have to. And so when you're playing any of these maps, you're spending a lot of time keeping an eye out for knowledge tomes, which essentially give you a trait point, which is essentially skill points, or like items, or looking out for these secrets or puzzles or whatever that you are not only okay with the environments or liking the environment, but also you're preoccupied looking for things and also enjoying the combat. So
Yeah.
yeah, makes going through the zones pretty easy no matter what. But I do agree that the forest I think is aesthetically really good looking.
Yeah. And yeah, the only other thing I really have to say is game is definitely set up really well for replayability with either resetting your map and getting loot to respawn again, or just joining someone else's in order to continue building the numerous amount of talents that are available in the game, which I think is probably its biggest strength. So
The trait system is actually really cool. Like if it even had like 10 traits, I'd be happy with it.
Yeah.
But there's like a shitload of traits in the game. And traits in this game essentially can all go up to level 20, and then you're done with the trait. And traits are like crit chance percentage, crit damage percentage, health points, armor effectiveness, even one that makes you vault faster. I have not put any points into that. I have no interest in that, but I'm sure if I keep playing the game, eventually I'm going to have to put points into it. I'm working on one that's right now ranged damage, so just shooting from far away, more damage.
yeah, I'm doing elemental resistance right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and so there's a lot of traits, and there's a bunch of traits that you unlock through playing the game, and not through progression, but through doing something. For instance, I've played with the character I'm playing so many times that I've gone down plenty in my many times playing the game, and there must be a certain amount of times going down, and I opened up a trait tree. From going down. I also know if you level, I think 10 guns to 20, a trait. I don't remember which one it is, but a trait will show up. So there's all these different things
you just
you
keep
can
getting
do.
rewarded for playing.
Exactly.
So
And this game has a really good way of like everything that you earn in the game. Some of it is through just progression of the game, and some of it is like revealed. It's something that you find. There's a lot of uncovering in this game that I think is really fun and kind of absent in a lot of games nowadays. I mean, it obviously takes after Dark Souls in the sense of like going down this way and finding your way back here, but when you went back there, there's an optional boss, or there's this item that's like off this cliff right there. They're definitely kind of following that formula, but they kind of do their own thing with it, with making the traits also kind of reveal themselves as you play. So it's got a really cool they took that and made it their own in a really cool way.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. So, not to reiterate a lot of the things I said in the last episode for anybody who watches regularly, but I don't want to, not include people who might not have watched that. I'm a big fan of this game. I like this game a lot. I liked it before I played it on PlayStation Plus, and I'll still like it now a lot. And yeah, it's a completely solid game. The combat is really good. It's third person action, mostly ranged combat. That's a lot of fun. It's got melee in it, but it's not really the stronger point of the game, even though there are items that can complement a melee build. I have not experimented with that myself, but I've seen plenty of items that would lead me to believe that that is a viable option. There's a lot of varied melee weapons as well. I just recently got some like glowing claws, like Vega claws, and you're using a spear right now.
Yeah.
There's like swords and chain swords and fucking hammers and all sorts of shit.
Flail.
Yeah. So combat in the game is awesome. I think it's a shining point of the game. I think it's super solid. We already kind of talked about it, but just reiterating it, that was definitely present here when playing it this month. Environments are cool. I enjoy exploring them. I also think that the secrets in the game are a really strong point of the game. In fact, every time I play it with somebody who's new, they kind of are like, okay, this game's cool. This game's cool. And then when I start kind of showing them some of the stuff that you can find, you can kind of tell that's when they start kind of getting more into the game, because they're realizing there's more to it than just being a third person shooter. So that's a really good strength of the game that I really enjoy. And yeah, the trait system, we were talked about it, but very cool as well. And yeah, I just think it's a really, really solid game. The co-op is also no bullshit. You can play up to like 3 people. You just join. You can play through the whole game. It's not one of those like Dark Souls systems where you disappear after a boss fight. So I appreciate that.
You can also hop out at any time.
Yeah. So it's really good in that regard. You can do all the content together. So that's really good. And yeah, to a more personal to this month point, we played through the whole thing. We beat it. That was a lot of fun to do. I really enjoyed doing that. It's just me and you. My character, I was kind of embracing just doing more damage, as much damage as I could, but then I started leaning more into crit damage and crit chance. I started using weapons that have a higher crit rate, so that I could start kind of melting enemies. I also got an armor set that every time I crit, it increases my crit chance and my crit damage up to 10 stacks. So I'm just kind of building a character that has to build up their damage, but once they do a lot of it. And then, we didn't even talk about abilities. This game has a bunch of abilities as well, outside of the guns and items.
Yeah, the mods.
There's the mods you can equip onto weapons that actually make every weapon look different too, which is kind of interesting. And yeah, I was mostly using, I used one that essentially puts fire damage on whatever I'm shooting. That one's kind of boring, but it's just straight up damage. So I'm critting. It's just kind of adding to the damage output. I also use one on my rifle that shoots up to 2 pretty much fire grenades. They just shoot a fireball, explodes, lights things on fire. And there's another one I was using. Tentacles I was experimenting with. That's one I got later. You shoot like 2 tentacles, kind of like Hydroid from Warframe.
Kind of.
The tentacles come out of the ground and just hit things, do quite a bit of damage, honestly, which is pretty cool. And yeah, mostly was using assault rifles and like 3-round burst rifles and carbine type weapons and an SMG on the side in case I needed to shoot things up close. And then, like I said, I was using Vega Claws, so that was pretty much my build. You're probably seeing an earlier version of that in the footage right now. I don't have the most recent build recorded. And then you were playing, what was your what rifle were you using?
I was mostly using the semi-automatic rifle for a while, and then I switched to the beam rifle when we got stuck on a certain boss. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. And I just kind of at that point had put so many resources into the beam rifle. I just kind of stuck with it at that point until I was going to cap it out. I used the submachine gun as my secondary, and then I used the they're like little root monster guys or whatever.
Yeah, like the little goblin guys.
Yeah, where you can summon 2 of them, and they just kind of go out and they dual wield these little axes and just jump and beat people. And then on my rifle, I was using a dog that I would summon, and it would last a pretty long time.
Yeah, so you're just like summoning essentially a bunch of pets,
and putting points into armor and accessories that would amplify summoning,
which seemed to have a pretty big effect later on your pets, because your dog went from being like okay to doing quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, I could go into a room and he had cleared it. So I was just like, okay.
Yeah, there's sometimes where I felt like we're like following them, and like I'd go in the room and there'd be a dude with like a sliver of health, and they'd hit him and kill him. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know why the fuck I'm here. So that was really cool. And because I've played the game before, I've unlocked the pets, but I didn't really dabble in them too much. So it was cool to see you kind of fully embrace like a pet build, because with all the people I've played with, nobody's really done that a whole lot. And I'd like to see somebody else to do like a melee build. I haven't seen anyone fully try to do that yet. Maybe I could do it, but I'm still working on my crit build. But yeah, that just kind of showcases the difference in what you can do when it comes to combining traits with abilities with
armor sets
and weapons, which is really cool for a game that at surface level, just looking at it, might just look like a third-person shooter.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we were doing build-wise, and I already said we beat the game, but what'd you think of the last boss?
It was a visual spectacle. excuse me, the difficulty was there, but not in the way I guess I'm used to, especially with what that game has shown it can do anyways. The mechanics were not complicated. They just killed you.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much it. If you got hit, you were like almost dead or dead. And so once we figured out like, timing and stuff like that, it kind of became trivial minus like whoopsies, So
Yeah, just if we didn't get hit, it was fine.
Yeah.
But if you did, you typically went down. It came down to if someone could get you back up or
yeah,
not.
but visually it was definitely a spectacle, and so
Yeah, that was
I think it's probably appropriate for a game
Yeah.
in general. So
even though the ending felt like super abrupt, like it just happened. I'm like, what is happening?
I think I had the same problem with Monster Hunter games though, where the end boss is just a spectacle, but
Yeah.
the mechanics are like whatever.
Yeah.
So
But I thought it was a cool boss battle. It just was that, and then it was over.
Yeah.
Had some cool. I don't really want to say mechanics, but like the whole getting put into another dimension where he's taking damage, but it's the only time you can really have to like
that's the ammo gathering
like-
time. Yeah.
be like, getting ammo and healing and shit. Because once you come back out, he's just like launching missiles at you and fucking flying around and not taking a whole lot of damage. So
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty cool boss. And again, it was nice to finally beat the game because I've played it for so long that I was essentially sitting around the last level. Like that's as far as I got, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go play with this person now. I gotta go play with this person. Then when I was playing on your save, we played a little further past where I had been hanging out in the game, and it was the end. I was like, oh shit, I've just been sitting at the end this whole fucking time.
Yeah. And then we went and finished your save file. So
Yeah. And then throughout the game, there's a lot of bosses. It's kind of a huge part of the game, and I feel like they're all fairly interesting. I think they get a lot better later in the game, which is to be expected. And then in that Subject 2.9 whatever the hell expansion, there are some really cool bosses there too as well. But we have not done that together yet. And I really enjoy the boss battles, even though at the point where we were playing this month, I feel like we were a little overpowered for a lot of them. We did have a couple issues there is a boss that's up on a bridge, and it's like flying next to the bridge, and you have to fight it. And while you're in the middle of fighting it, a second one of it shows up behind you on the other side of the bridge, and now you have to fight two of them. They're just lobbing missiles at you and shooting lasers that can knock you off. It seemed to have knocked you off a couple times. It almost knocked me off a couple times, but I would just get killed by the fucking infection that it kept shooting at me.
I say the knockoff always happened when I was trying to get you up.
Yeah.
I'd literally be like almost done, and I'd see it charging up. I'm like, well, here we go.
Yeah. I always try to stand closer to it on the bridge, so when it tried to knock me off, I'd fly back. But then if I went down and you tried to get me up, it would be like the perfect place to knock you off.
Yeah.
So we had a couple goes at that boss because that boss is being an asshole. And we also I don't want to talk too much spoilers, I guess, even though we talked about the end boss a little bit. There's a wolf boss that on your save we just fought, and on my save there's bells all over the arena, and if you hit them in a certain way, you can talk to the boss
Instead, yeah.
and then the boss gives you an item, and you don't have to fight him. So that was really cool to see that. Again, this game's full of like secrets and puzzles and stuff like that. There was one part where we were walking by a guy playing some kind of flute thing, and
Satyr or whatever.
yeah, and he was just hanging out. And if you get close enough, he'll like come down and you could talk to him. And then he goes back to playing his music. And I was looking around, I saw the bells, and I was listening to him play. And I shot the bells, and I could tell they were the same notes he could play. And so I tried to recreate the song. And when I did, a ring came out of the ground, and we were able to grab that. So stuff like that's really cool. Also, we were running through the desert, and a fucking tile on the ground,
Pressure tiles.
sank down, but then came back up, and we were just kind of looking around, and they're all doing that. But then finally one stayed down, and then we walked to another one, and it stayed down, and we're like, wait. There's like a puzzle here.
Yeah.
And so we sat there and figured it out. I did find out later though that there's a wall. You know how there's those two walls next to the crystal? On the back of one of them has the pattern.
Oh, funny. That reminds me of in the DLC, there's the trap with all the statues and the armor there, and
Which gave me a good jump scare.
Yeah, I mean, it spooked me, and I wasn't the one who got hit by it.
Yeah.
So, but the stories on the wall that talks about the hero that the statues are based off of, but it talks about little details that had happened in his life, and then you go and you check, and you find the one that kind of fits the persona that's actually being told. It was neat.
It was funny because like we ran up the stairs. I saw this dialogue. I'm like, I'm not gonna read that. And I like, and then you ran over to read it, and I like run in between like 8 statues to my left and right, and I didn't even take a look at them. I see ahead of me, there's just 3 pieces of armor just sitting in this room. And I'm like, oh, armor. And I just like go to run at it. And as soon as I enter the doorway, spikes just go boom and just fucking killed me instantly. And it like literally like fucking gave me chills, dude. I was like, holy shit. Like I was not expecting it.
Yeah.
And yeah, then you read it again and you're telling me details and I'm looking at the statues and it says something about a dude who's missing 2 fingers, who had a skull on his armor, all that shit.
And a crown.
And a crown. So,
Yeah.
like, we went and looked through them. We found the one. We hit the button. It opened the spikes. We were able to walk in there. So, that was cool.
Yeah.
Especially because I got to experience what happened. It would have been nice if we just, like, nailed it and never fucked around with the spikes. But I'm also glad that I got to experience the punishment of not fucking doing the research. But yeah, the game's full of stuff like that. It's one of my favorite things about the game for sure. And yeah, I mean, it's just there's so many cool fucking things about this game, and I've talked it up for a long time now on the channel, and it was just nice to finally finish it. And yeah, the only critique I have on it, the only thing I have, is wish there was more places to go. I'm still getting items, so I'm not.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not too upset about that. I would definitely welcome more, but I'd like to go to more locations.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think I would like to see a little bit of varied ways to solve the existing puzzles, because it turns into a once you learn it, you could always do it sort of deal. It'd be nice if there was a little bit of RNG there, so that, like, for example, the story with the statues, for example, would change every time you spawn that version of it, or the bell order, or the song that the satyr plays and stuff like that was different every time, just to keep it a little fresh without drastically changing it. And I think that would make it go a lot longer as well, because otherwise eventually it's just going to turn into grinding. So
Yeah.
but it definitely takes especially in the boss department and the figuring out the world part, definitely takes a huge nods from Soulsborne games, and I think in a good way for sure. So and then having the no bullshit multiplayer makes it easy for someone like me to actually like sit down and play it. So
Yeah, for me, it enhances the fun factor because like you can just play it, and it's just fun. Like it's just they nailed the co-op. It's just no bullshit co-op. You just play together. So and I really appreciate that because they could have tried to go the route where it has like a system to it, and would have been acceptable. But I don't think it would have been as fun as a co-op experience. So
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it was a good month playing this game. I enjoyed fucking grinding my character even further. I think my like gear rank is like 200 and probably 40 or 50 something now, I assume. Yeah, completing it, and I want to finish the DLC with you. Even though I've done it, I've only done there's so many bosses, and I've only done some of them. So there's a couple that I haven't done yet.
We're also playing that on hard instead of normal now.
Yeah, we've upped the difficulty because I feel like we were kind of, aside from a couple bosses, kind of walking through a lot of the scenarios. So
Yeah.
I would like a challenge, considering we have all these weapons and upgrades now. So
Well, the XP bonus too.
the XP bonus as well for sure, because yeah, it was getting a little slow for me. But yeah, all in all, really enjoyed playing it this month. Always enjoyed playing it, but this month in particular was really good just because I got to finally fucking finish the game and got to play with you, which is dope because I knew it would be better on mouse and keyboard for you. So, huge difference. Anything else you want to say?
No, no.
Yeah, we actually talked about this more than I thought we would because we've already talked about it. But I figured it'd be interesting to talk about actually fucking finishing
Well,
it.
in all fairness, like you said, there are people who may not have been here for that
Yeah.
episode. Plus, that was 8 months ago. So
Yeah. Let's jump into recommendations then.
okay. I mean, third-person shooters, co-op games, looter shooters, though kind of loosely in this because loot isn't abundant. It is tied to boss fights. So with that, Soulsborne-esque style systems, if you're into that kind of stuff, I would totally check this out. If you like post-apocalyptic meets heavy fantasy setting, or even just have an interest in either of those independently. I'm not huge on post-apocalyptic, but I love fantasy, and the game definitely scratched that itch for me still.
It's kind of smart that they do both.
Yeah, it does a good job on that. The story itself is pretty whatever, but the lore in the game is actually really cool. So if you're into lore, I would check it out. It does have a little bit of Code Vein vibes in that regard, but not too close. I definitely kind of felt it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think you pretty much nailed it. Soulsborne games, fucking co-op games, third-person shooters. If you like ability-based cooperative shooters, something like Outriders, you might dig this.
Puzzle solving.
Yeah. If you like secrets, finding things out in puzzles, surprisingly, this game has that. So definitely check it out for that. And then gear and class building. There's no really classes, but you can make your own kind of classes. So you can build up whatever. And then item collection. There's items that you could go through a run and never find.
Yeah.
So you have to do it again. And if you're a completionist, this is a game that you're going to not want to complete everything just because you want that, but the game makes you want to do it because you get stuff for doing it. So, yeah, I would recommend it to you. I'm gonna also say something that I said in the last time we talked about this as well. I'm gonna loosely recommend this to everybody. I feel like everybody, to a certain extent, unless you don't like third-person shooters, could enjoy this game. Is there an easy setting?
No.
No? Okay, well. You might have to grind a little bit if you're not too good at shooters, but
yeah, you can just reset the map and start collecting again. So,
but if you're cool with third-person shooters, whether by yourself or in co-op, I think you could enjoy this game. So, yeah, I think that's about it, though. I think you got everything. All right, let's jump into grades. So last time I gave this a strong A-, and I'm still kind of feeling that, but I think I am going to bump it up to the A just because after finishing it, I realized that I really love this game. I really love the experience of playing it. I think that the combat and the aiming in particular in the game is stellar. I also think it's an experience that, although it borrows from a lot of genres, has crafted something that you can almost only get here with what they did here. There's not a whole lot of competent Dark Souls-esque shooters, and this does it very well. And I don't have any negatives about the game, really, outside if I want more from it. But other than that, it's a solid-ass game. I really enjoy playing it. It's got co-op, which is very important to me in a lot of games. It's a huge selling point for me in a lot of games, and this has it. And yeah, it's just awesome. So yeah, bumping it up to A, but yeah, it's just a great game.
Yeah. I don't know what I gave it last time, but I know this month I'm feeling, I say A-. I'm going to say A- because I do think with some of the critiques that we did give, like I do think there should be one or two more zones at least, some variances to puzzles.
2 more zones would be great.
Yeah,
that'd be. I'd have no complaints.
Yeah, I don't want to detract from the quality of the zones. I think they did a really good job crafting them, and I'd like that to be this case if they made more. But I do think the puzzles need to have some form of randomization to make repeat runs less monotonous.
Yeah,
I think that would add longevity. I also think this is more of a nitpick. And it has nothing to do with my grade, but there's a scene where he's rowing a boat and he's not facing the correct way while rowing the boat.
Yeah, it's weird.
That was really weird to look at. Yeah, so
homeboy fucking finds a rowboat, gets in it. He's facing this direction. He's going that direction, and so he's not.
He's pushing. He's pulling.
Pushing. It's fucking weird looking. Like,
yeah, it was bizarre.
Maybe some people row like that.
Whew.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, me either. Anyways, overall though, the game is a lot of fun.
For that reason, I'm giving it a D+.
I just had to put that in there somewhere. So
Yeah, worth bringing up.
yeah, it has nothing to do with McGrade though. Like that means nothing. And if they made more or a new game, tighten up the storytelling a little bit. Story's
It's
okay.
it's definitely got the lore.
Yeah, it's
They just
lore's good.
and they have cinematics, so it's nice. But like, I don't think they tell the story as well as they could.
Well, and it's just not like super compelling. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
Like I have no complaints about it.
Well, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the Root have taken over. Stop them.
Yeah, root bad. Old general missing. Mm-hmm. Go.
Yeah, but then like there's all these different places, worlds, people with all these like words for things, and like there's like it seems like there's deeper lore in a lot of ways, but then the central
Especially because there's like friendly, to put quotes around that word, species in the game too that you have like one and done interactions with. It'd be really cool to explore more of that.
yeah.
The satyr, the insect people, for example, they're like gray, like almost like alien like people. Like
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in this game that would have been cool to explore more of.
yeah, versus just kind of like see them once and then that's it. So
One like one-off NPCs that have a bunch of stuff to say, but like that's pretty much where it ends. Like there's not more to it.
yeah, there's so many like character models in the game where I was like, these are like super cool looking. I'd love to see more of this, but again, I mean, this it's a one and done game for them possibly. So they might not have been necessarily in the mindset to.
Well, they actually have another game that looks like very similar to this. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's actually just called Remnant. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But originally, I think it was a VR game, and they recently released it as a first-person game,
Interesting.
and it's related to. Or no, it's called Chronos or something. I don't remember. It's related to this though.
Huh.
It's just more of a melee-based game because it's not the same time period.
Gotcha.
But the enemy models you see them and shit, they look very much like Remnant.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'd like to see more, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree 100%. I would love a sequel. I definitely, if they made a Remnant from the Ashes 2 or Remnant whatever the hell, I would buy it day one easily. But I'd also take more DLC content as long as it's like they did with Subject whatever, because it's a whole new zone. And like Ward Prime is like this whole big puzzle they have to run around and figure out and stuff like that. Like it doesn't feel like bullshit. So if they wanted to make more DLCs like that, just adding new zones and stuff, I would buy it. So
Yeah. Or an expansion.
yeah, or a full expansion for sure. I mean, just more content. I think the game's great already. If they wanted to enhance it or improve it with like a brand new game, cool. But they could just still just add stuff to this. I'd be happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So you gave it A-. I gave it an A. We both went up one. You
Okay.
gave it a B+ before I gave it an A-. So that's definitely an improvement. I think
Yeah.
it helps that we played on mouse and keyboard, which definitely improves the experience, but also that we actually played through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we have a full opinion of the whole game.
For sure.
So that is that's cool to hear that you graded that high. And it's funny because like I still kind of wanted to give it A-, because I'm like it's really good. It's just not like amazing, but like but I was like, but what games are like this? Not a whole lot of them. So
For sure.
I got to give it credit there. Like I'm still, this game came out in 2019. I'm still fucking playing it and still loving it. So it's a solid ass game. And I got to give it that credit. So, yeah, A and A-. Let us know in the comments what you guys think of Remnant from the Ashes. Have you played it? Have you not played it? Have you even heard of it? I still talk to people who don't know what this game is, which is a shame. If you've played it, what'd you think of it? Did you play it on console? Did you play it on PC? I know it came out on the Epic Game Store for free a while back. That's quite the get. And yeah, did you beat it? Have you played the DLCs? What do you think of the game? And if you have played it, what kind of build did you make or experiment with? And what was one of your favorite secrets or puzzles that you ran into? There's a lot of them. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Game of the Month for November. Quick reminder, we'll be playing Guilty Gear Strive in December. So if you have that or are planning on picking it up, maybe you got it on Black Friday or something, we'll be playing and talking about it throughout December. So join us for that. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on our socials and our streams. Links down below. Check out our Discord. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. It's actually there. The link should work. And yeah, we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us in audio form. And we have a Patreon if you'd like to support this channel more than liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing if you're brand new. Also, welcome to the new subs we got from Reddit recently. Hope you enjoy the content we put out, and feel free to comment down below and join the conversation. And yeah, my name's Seth, and this has been Chevy. Thanks for joining me. And until the next episode, which will be Tasty Cast, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.